Without question, the most feared element at any racetrack is fire. And last July, on the Michigan 500, fire of mammoth proportions erupted in the pits of Herm Johnson. Within seconds, the blaze intensified into one of the most devastating scenes of potential racetrack disaster witnessed in recent years. During the initial minutes, as brave firefighters waded into that inferno, there were concerns the fire might race through the pits unchecked. An explosion around Johnson's refueling tank added to the concern before firemen eventually gained the upper hand. That was last year. In an effort to avoid a reoccurrence of that scene we saw a year ago here at Michigan, several new stringent fire safety regulations have been implemented for the 1982 season. Many of them somewhat technical in nature, but a couple of obvious ones. Brand new valves on the top and at the bottom of the actual fueling tank. Another critical one here, a positive shutoff valve on the actual refueling nozzle. This valve has to be cocked before this is inserted into the side of the car. As the sleeve comes back, fuel, of course, goes quickly into the car, and then the very instant that this is pulled away from the car, the flow of fuel automatically is sealed off here in the hose. Now, to give us a demonstration, Greg Nelson, who was involved in the refueling in Herm Johnson's pit last year, will show us exactly what happens. We have water in the tanks rather than fuel for the demonstration purposes. As this nozzle is inserted into the car, the sleeve comes back, the flow of fuel into the car. The instant that it is pulled away from the car, of course, the flow of fuel, in this case water, is quickly shut off. Now, Herm's crew has gone one step further. In this ring around the nozzle, they have implemented an actual sprinkling device so that the moment that this is activated, Steve Erickson at the pit, a flow of water, in the event of any accidental fuel spillage, will quickly wash down that flow of fuel. The important point to remember, to have a spillage like we had last year that triggered that fire, this year it would take the malfunction of at least 3 major valves, 2 on the tank, 1 at the nozzle. And of course, officials are working desperately hard this year to avoid any recurrence of what we saw last year here at Michigan. Now, there's more to the fire safety situation that deals directly with the car. Paul, in the cockpit of Herm's car, has that story.
Well, Gary, should a fire actually occur, there are several systems designed on the car to protect both the driver and the race car. The driver, of course, is covered head to toe with several layers of fireproof clothing. But Herm Johnson has gone several steps further. He has, as all the cars do, an onboard fire extinguisher system. There is a red button here on the dash panel at his right hand. When he pushes that, an invisible firefighting chemical sprays not only in the engine compartment, but in the cockpit, which can snuff out the fire. Herm has gone even a step further. He carries this system. It's a fireproof hose that will deliver air from a tank inside the car for 1 minute. This is very important because a fire would generate superheated air, make it difficult for him to breathe, and therefore difficult to escape. But with this cool air system, he can breathe, he can see, and he can climb out of the car himself.